Welcome to a Let's Talk Relationship. And I am Stefania Pulio, your host for today and every day. And I am from the Gentleman Square. For those of you that don't know me, I am a men's love and relationship coach and a certified hypnotherapist. And I actually work with men who want to build healthy, rock solid relationships without all the drama. That's right. That's what I do. I work predominantly with men and, uh, a bit of an advocate for their journey of creating rock solid relationships. And today, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for joining me. If you can see me, please let me know. Let me know if you're on and you can hear me, because this is all new. I've had to set it up in a different way. So there we go. I'm just making it public now. Okay, so here we go. So today's topic is all about stonewalling. So I have a question for you. Have you ever been like, had the phone slammed down in your face and while talking, and all of a sudden felt, oh my God, what just happened then? And how do you deal with a partner that actually shuts you down and constantly stonewalls you? Now, I'm not sure if you have heard of this term before, stonewalling. A lot of people may have or may not, but stonewalling is something that a lot of, I guess, couples find themselves either dealing with because their partner is shutting them down, or they may find themselves in that kind of situation purely because they don't know how to cope. Okay. So first of all, let me explain to you, or well, first of all, let me tell you what I'm going to be talking about today. So I'm going to be explaining to you what stonewalling is, the typical stonewalling behaviors that one can actually look out for and understand it. Because I guess when you understand something, you know how to deal with it. And the third one is how to actually deal with stonewalling in a relationship. So I'm going to actually give you three ways to deal with someone that is constantly stonewalling you. All right. So if you're out there and listening, please let us know. I remind you to, subscribe to my channel, The Gentleman Square. And if you like the videos, please press like and also share with your friends. So what is stonewalling? Okay, stonewalling is basically a tactic used in either a conversation or an argument. Usually it's flared up from an argument when there's been some kind of disagreement with somebody, okay? And it can be quite a serious threat. People don't really understand the implications that stonewalling can actually have on you. And it's actually emotionally unhealthy, especially when stonewalling occurs in relationships and marriages, or partnerships or whatever. Now, I have experienced my share of stonewalling, and if you have, please let me know. Put a comment down below. How does it actually feel? Well, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't, especially if it just comes out of the blue. And to be quite honest, I actually experienced this just a couple of days ago, and I have experienced it before, but since it's just so, I guess, real and live in my, energy field, I'd like to just really talk about it, because I know some people actually find it difficult to respond, or how to actually deal with it. Okay. So when someone is stonewalling you, particularly in a relationship, what's actually happening is they're not engaging in, and they're not engaging with you, particularly on an emotional level. Okay, they don't want to problem solve. They don't want to talk about their feelings or any, have any sort of emotional cooperation with you to have or to, you know, have an outcome of a resolution. They basically don't address the conflict. It may be conflict, it may be pain, it may be anger, it may be desire, or just simply fear. Okay. What happens is that person is dodging this emotional intimacy with you. Okay. Now, this may be something you've experienced from someone else. And again, this may be something that you yourself find yourself in, and you're not even aware of it. Okay. And you're not even aware that you may be stonewalling either. So this behavior has been, stated to be an emotional abuse. Um, and it's also been said to be a form of gaslighting as well. We kind of use this term gaslighting, excuse me, quite regularly, where people just, kind of turn the the scenario or the whatever's happened, try and manipulate and turn it into making you feel guilty in some shape or form. So what happens is while you try and address, and often you may find yourself wanting to, you know, um, address the emotional concerns that your partner may be having, particularly in a conflict, because all you want to do is just like, "Well, how can I fix it?" And particularly from a man's point of view, that's something that it's an innate natural behavior to want to fix, to want to calm things down, deal with things without all the drama. And usually a person who is stonewalling you, um, you know, will act like whatever you're saying is not important, and there's nothing valuable to say. Basically, I'm done with that. I have got nothing to say to you, basically, and therefore you get that silent treatment. You get that, shutting down, uh, avoiding conversation, and um, yeah, making it really difficult to really engage with that other person, right? Now, the behaviors, okay, so that's what stonewalling is. Now, the typical stonewalling behaviors, what to actually look out for. And, you may be in a relationship with the person that stonewalls you all the time, but you may think that this is normal for whatever reason. Maybe this is something that, you're used to. You grew up with this, watching maybe your parents stonewall each other, giving each other the silent treatment. So for you, it may feel uncomfortable, and certainly I have no doubt that you do have, we do have this uncomfortable, unease feeling in our body, but we may not know how to identify it. So identifying the actual behaviors of stonewalling, what someone will exhibit if they are stonewalling you, is they keep really quiet. All right. They keep really quiet, and again, gives the silent treatment, remains unresponsive, remains in a way that, despite all the inquiries, despite all the, connection that you want to make, not a single word of response. And that can be really painful. I don't know what you think about it, but for me, I find that that's worse than actually being physically striked. I think because, not that I'm saying that that's better, but you at least know what's going on. But when that person gives you the silent treatment and that real shutdown stonewalling, you are you don't know what's going on in their head. There's this like blankness. So the behaviors are tuning out, pretending not to listen when, you're talking, and, it's like whatever you're saying means nothing to them. Another behavior is also turning away, walking away from the actual, person that's speaking to them. Um, and pretends that the other person is invisible. And I'm not sure that that is something that I've experienced where you're trying and to connect, and it's like you don't even exist. And usually, that person that is stonewalling will act like they're really busy. They've got a lot to do. They're occupied. They're avoiding, calls. They're avoiding conversation, and they're definitely avoiding eye contact or any emotional intimacy with you. All right. So they are the behaviors that one can actually look out for. Now, why does stonewalling actually happen? Why does actually stonewalling happen? Well, there's many reasons, and I'm not saying that it is the best way to deal with any kind of conflict or argument, but sometimes we want to retreat. Sometimes we want to, step back from whatever's going on, and it can be a defense mechanism against overwhelm. So if that person is feeling a little overwhelmed, um, and doesn't know how to express themselves, a way of dealing with it is by disappearing, stonewalling, being non-present. And what happens is, this person may go into a state of solitude, go into an emotional, I guess, suppressing emotions. And it can be quite harmful because they may fall into a little bit of depression. Now, it's a catch-22 because you may really know what's going on. And, you know, depending on how and how often, if this characteristic is not common of your partner, displaying this kind of behavior is not common for them, well, then there's one way of dealing with it. But if it's something that they are doing all the time, this is something that you may need to look at and reevaluate because it's a form of manipulation. It is. And it can be passive aggressive, or it can be aggressive, or it can be really passive and turn into something which, escalates into frustration. Um, can escalate into even further disagreements and conflict. So, I want to talk about the 3 ways to actually deal with a partner who is stonewalling you, okay? Because there are 3 main steps that I would highly suggest that you step into when dealing with this type of behavior from anyone, whether it is a romantic situation, whether it is from work, a work relationship, a family member as well. Okay. The first thing I always say is realize that you're not the problem. Because all too often, what happens is when we are being stonewalled, when we are being, you know, inflicted with this silent treatment, making us somewhat feeling guilty, giving us that guilt trip. Well, what did I do, and how can I do this right? And you're a talker, and you're one that wants to connect and wants to know what's going on to help that person, because usually a person that's stonewalling is a person that's hurting. And if you can step back and realize that you're not the problem, and that you can step back and look at it from an objective point of view. So, first of all, give your partner the benefit of the doubt. Okay. And as I said before, you know, usually you're not the problem, but we're going to talk about that a little bit later if you are. Okay. And that, as I said, they may be feeling overwhelmed, and they may not be able to deal with whatever crisis is going on, and their best way of dealing with this is shutting down and closing you off. It may be a behavioral pattern that or a coping mechanism that they've had to deal with all their lives. And particularly if they've come from a family where, you know, stonewalling and shutting down and gaslighting was to them normal, they will feel like this is a normal behavior to deal with, any kind of attacks on them. So consider not trying to engage with them when they are actually gaslighting you like that, especially if it is an unfamiliar characteristic of them, because this may be something new to you. This is maybe something, an unfamiliar behavior that you're not even like, it's thrown you for a sixer, where you just think, oh my God, like, what's going on? Where did this come from? She's never acted like this before. Yeah. So, make sure that you're compassionate. Don't engage in the emotions, because there's going to be a sparking of emotions, an emotional energy to and froing. And if you can just step back and be compassionate, reassure this person of your availability, and possibly say, when you're ready to discuss this, I'm open, to talk about it. Leave the door open to them to say, when you calm down, I'm here for you. Just let me know what's going on. Okay. Now, it may even strengthen your relationship where you give your partner space. Okay. Give your partner that space, and not feeling like you are trying to, smother them with fixing the problem. So give them space, step back, and allow your partner to ask for help. Okay, because sooner or later, if you are compassionate, reassuring, and you remain very calm, sooner or later they will come to you for help, or even open to discussing. Okay, remember, you can't force another person to let you in. Okay, you can't force them to let you help them, and maybe you're not the person to help them either. Okay, so that's something that you've got to realize. So the second one that I want to talk about is, who do we have here? Phil. Good morning, Phil. How are you? Thanks for joining us. Thank you. So the second one that I want to talk about, how to deal with someone who's stonewalling you, is keep your side of the street clean. All right. Now, what do I mean by keep your side of the street clean? Just again, stepping back, because maybe you are the problem and you don't know that you're the problem. Okay. And again, the best way to do this is check on yourself, check on your behavior. Now, taking this step is, I can't begin to address how important this is, because that's just taking responsibility for your own self. Checking in on your own behavior is going to make you more of a man, more of a person, more of, that in connection with what's actually going on with yourself. Sometimes stonewalling can be a defense against criticism, or a response to perceived aggression or hostility. So if you may be talking in a certain tone of voice, this may cause that person to go into defense mode. Again, these are unconscious known behaviors that are sitting in the subconscious mind that will trigger something off in that person. Okay. So by you checking in on yourself and saying, okay, well, what did I just say? How did I just say it? Could I be the problem of this person, like stonewalling me? Okay. Or, another way of checking in on yourself is, are you encouraging when your partner engages with you in a conversation? Okay. Because, sometimes I hear couples say where I try to talk to him and he doesn't respond and he's not present. And then what happens is the other partner will flip that same very behavior on them and stonewall them, give them the silent treatment as a form of punishment, which again is not the way to resolve a situation like that. But you could be fine, you could find yourself behaving like that because you're then wanting the attention, and you're not quite sure how to get that attention or how to engage with that person again, that you will judge them. You may be condescending, and and particularly attack if your partner, may admit to their faults. Like particularly if someone says, "Well, yeah, I realize that. I apologize. I wasn't." Well, yeah, because every time you do that, this is how I feel, and there's an attack. Okay, so a lack of empathy and compassion when this is happening can often escalate stonewalling from the other person. Okay, so keep your side of the street clean means consider your side of the situation, check in on yourself, and this will help you clear up your role. And if you've done that check-in on yourself, again, realize that you are not the problem. Okay. And the last one is focus on the psychological self-soothing process, I call it. Okay. And simply what that means is, taking self-care of yourself, because you don't want to be that punching bag. Nobody wants to be a punching bag for anybody, right? Because sure, that person may vent with you, but if you're the person that they are constantly venting on, it's going to be detrimental on you. It's going to take its toll. It's going to tire you out. It's going to make you feel frustrated, and it's not going to, solve the solution in any which way, because you are being worn down. So maybe in a scenario where you've been stonewalled, you've tried every effort to discuss the problem. Okay, you've tried to talk about it, you've tried to engage, you tried to ask questions the best way that you can, and perhaps you've actually refrained yourself from a negative attitude, right? You've actually stepped back and say, no, I'm not going to respond. As much as I really want to let her know how I feel in a negative way, you've just stepped back and refrained from that negative attitude. You have decided to remain supportive, right? But what can happen, okay, is your partner may still continue stonewalling you. Okay, so you feel like it's a catch-22. If I'm nice, I get stonewalled. If I'm not nice, I get stonewalled. However I act, I'm still being stonewalled. So if your partner still stonewalls you, okay, when you try to be supportive, then just stop. Okay, just stop doing anything, because things are likely to escalate. All right. I know sometimes we get caught up in that pattern of wanting to help someone, but it actually aggravates the hell out of that person who's stonewalling you. Okay, it may escalate the problem, and in this case, you need to take care of yourself. Okay, you need to take care of you. So this is what I mean by focus on your own psychological self-care, self-soothing. All right. And because, if you're not taking care of yourself, and if you're not taking the steps of remaining calm, compassionate, stepping back, doing what it is you need to do, go for a walk, listen to music, go for a run, hit some weights, I don't know, whatever it is that you can change your energy field, the way you're feeling, so you're not being sucked into that other person's vortex of negativity. If you don't do it, what's going to happen? You're going to become infuriated. You're going to become stressed to the max, and simply by your partner's behavior, and you're going to feel consumed. I'm going to repeat this again. You're going to feel consumed by the difficult emotions. And usually when that happens, that will then have a domino effect on everything else in your life. Your relationship at work, your relationship with your family, your relationship with your children, your relationship with yourself. You can't function properly because you're overwhelmed with all these thoughts. Okay. So feeling emotionally overwhelmed or flooded with, or feeling flooded with this fight or flight response, which is, part of our primitive mind. And, that's what we are born with. That's the only thing we're born with, that to respond, with this kind of fight, flight, or freeze response. So when these symptoms increase, it's not healthy. And at this point, it is so vitally important that you take a break in order to allow both of you or both parties to actually calm down and to re-regulate. So they are the 3 steps that I believe are so important when dealing with someone who is stonewalling you. Now, of course, this topic can go on. There's so many areas we can cover, but I really wanted to cover these 3 main, um, areas of understanding what stonewalling is, understanding the behavioral patterns, so you're aware of the signs, okay, and know that it isn't normal behavior. And this is not how everybody, acts. Okay, this is maybe something that you are familiar with because you may have grown up with it, but it's not a healthy behavioral pattern to engage in. And also the 3 ways to deal with someone who is stonewalling you. Now, of course, if things persist and get out of hand, it's always advisable to seek professional help. And if that person doesn't want to seek, if your partner doesn't want to seek professional help, then maybe you may need to seek professional help as to how to, not be consumed by this, to know how to act and not react in a situation. So just recapping the 3 ways to deal with a stonewalling, someone who is stonewalling you, is the first one is realize that you are not the problem. Okay. Just stepping back, looking at this as if you're watching a movie, that you're not the problem. Don't engage and be drawn into their guilt and manipulation. Number 2, keep your side of the street clean. Check in on yourself. Check in how you are responding, how you're behaving, your tone of voice, the words you choose to speak. Are you supportive enough? Are you engaging and present enough? So check in on your own self. And the third one is focus on your physical, your psychological self-care and self-soothing. Okay. Be able to deal with it in a way that is healthy and not destructive with yourself. Yes, who do we have here? Hey Dee, how are you? Yes, so thanks for joining. So that's it from me here on Let's Talk Relationship. As always, I invite you to, leave a comment, share anything that you may feel is relevant. If you have any questions, anything particularly on this topic or any other topics, feel free to leave a comment down below. Remember to press that subscribe button and press like and share it with your friends. And of course, oh yeah, I have one more announcement. My new book that I have been talking about, Master the Language of Attraction. You can grab a copy on Amazon. So feel free to grab a copy and connect with your woman in juicier ways. 9 juicier ways. Yes, so thank you once again, and I will catch you in my next video. And as always, I send you love and I send you passion. Bye for now.